Pethara threw off her blanket in frustrated disgust. Night after night she had lain awake in her cot, unable to sleep as she waited to feel the waves of late-night magic once more. In a few days, the Undine would dock along the Rajterican coast, and Pethara would lose her only chance to solve this mystery. With a huff of her breath, Pethara climbed out of bed and pulled on her clothing. If she couldn't sleep, she might as well get some fresh air. Pethara was used to the vaulting, wide-open dwellings of Mo. These cabins had clearly been designed for the shorter races, and Pethara was beginning to feel claustrophobic. Emeri's cabin was located 5 rooms down the hall from Pethara's. He hadn't been sleeping well since boarding the Undine, as the constant rocking motion atop the waves made him queasy. He hiccuped and cradled his core. Realizing that he could no longer hold his sickness, Emeri climbed to his feet and opened the door to his room.
Mo's fat ass!
Pethara cried out as the door to Emeri's room flew open beside her. Emeri pressed a hand over his mouth and sprinted towards the stairs, desperately scrambling to reach the deck. He swallowed hard before reaching the top of the stairs, breathing heavily through his nose. He was barely able to reach the edge of the ship before the sickness sprung out of him like a geyser and splashed into the sea below. Pethara chuckled to herself as she leisurely strolled behind him. She found herself amused by the human's battle with sickness from the ship's motion. She patted Emeri on his back and said,
Guessing that this shan't be your favourite part of the journey in either direction, Sir Emeri.
She turned towards the bow of the ship to see Davomir and Rila huddled together there.
We have company.
Davomir alerted Rila, who spun around immediately. Her face lit up the moment that her eyes landed on Emeri across the deck.
Oh, Sir Emeri, Pethara, please join us.
Emeri shook his head. He dragged his feet as he headed back toward the stairs. He paused only once, to bend down and snatch up a mop bucket before he disappeared into the darkness beyond the door frame. A pang of disappointment shot through Rila's chest as she watched him descend the staircase.
You have all the time in the world to seduce him, sis. Try not to let this put you off. The lad simply has no sea legs at all.
She told Rila with an elbow to the girl's ribs. Rila yelped lightly and jumped away from her reach.
No, I don't know what you mean by that.
I am certain you do not.
Pethara heckled with a grin, her eyes shifting knowingly to her bodyguard.
We both have noticed your little crush.
Davomir silently shrugged his shoulders, uninterested in adding to her teasing.
Am I really that obvious?
You could not be less subtle. Were his mother present, she would be petitioning after your dowry.
Oh, gods!
The boy is as thick as a tree stump. He has not yet noticed your interest, but give him time. Men could be a few crops short of a field on occasion. So, what was it that you two lovebirds were discussing before my rude interruption?
Rila looked up from her hands with clear relief dancing across her features. She would rather discuss anything but her own personal life. Davomir crossed his arm over his chest and said nothing.
I was discussing the stars with Sir Davomir. Did you know that red glow up there isn't actually a star?
Are you pointing at Broken? The Moran theologians were the first to discuss the gender of the Titans. Of course, they decided that Broken must be a male, as a female could never hold such evils within her heart.
Misandry has become quite the fashionable trend for your people since the time of Mohar, so it doesn't surprise me that they'd consider anyone evil to be male in gender. My studies suggest that there were a few female Titans to have fought alongside Vulcan's forces. Lord was his lover, as well as his biggest supporter after all.
You are familiar with the Moran history?
She asked, pleasantly surprised by this revelation.
I suppose I assumed you would be well versed in the histories of the Bolidon humans, same as your aunt. Was she not your tutor? I had not expected Nathan's scholars to teach of my people.
Oh, I suppose that my thirst for knowledge has surpassed the limitations of my aunt's instruction. I could go on all night about the random things that I know, if allowed.
I have nowhere else to be. Let us compare our notes, shall we?
Greetings once more, wonderful watchers. I would like to take this opportunity to thank you all for your likes, your subscriptions, and your time. You are truly a beautiful soul, and you are deeply appreciated. You deserve to know that we have a Patreon page available for you to join, at your kind leisure, of course. The YouTube algorithm is worse than a rampaging horde of Bokanite, and our generous patrons allow us to continue our battle against it. Furthermore, there are certain episodes that YouTube would frown upon, and thus are only available to our patrons. Please do think it over, and enjoy the rest of your day.